Shen Fei travels through the ghostly world with memories to revive, and his younger sister who grew up together is lowered her head. As a brother, we cannot tolerate it. System activation, draw the myth play card. Black Wuchang. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the Eye of Ghosts and Gods, identifying illusions and analyzing the reasons. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the Soul Chain, tying up evil, and dragging into reincarnation. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining Hell's Fire, burning down evil spirits, and exterminating sins. Journey to the underworld, and avoid strangers. The impermanence patrols the city, and ghosts and monsters are invincible. That night, the people who were bullied by ghosts and monsters witnessed the passage of Yin soldiers and the long silent underworld finally taking action. A certain commoner. If you don't believe me, I saw the Yin soldiers borrowing away. There is a plan and the truth keywords of the novel. My younger sister is under a curse. I play the role of Black Wuchang Chaser without a pop-up window. My younger sister is under a curse. I play the role of Black Wuchang Chaser. Download the full text of the text. My younger sister is under a curse, and I play the role of Black Wuchang Chaser. Read the latest chapter. Chapter 1. Sister's Head Descending. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Sister's Head Descending within the hospital. Shen Fei looked at his sister lying in the hospital bed, her face full of pain, and his heart was also extremely worried. He couldn't figure it out. He was still alone in the morning, but at night he had black spots all over his body and his abdomen was raised as if there were some living creatures inside. Shen Fei knew the strangeness of this world. He was a traveler who traveled through this world when he was young. At the age of 15, he watched his parents being killed by ghosts and knew that ghosts and demons were rampant in this world. In order to resist ghosts and monsters, the profession of ghost guards has also emerged. In order to raise his young sister Shenlinger, he dropped out of school early to work and provide her with education. Fortunately, she also gained popularity. At a young age, she successfully contracted an A-level companion ghost spirit, becoming a top-tier ghost guard that everyone envied, and even being selected by official organizations. It can be said that her future is limitless. I thought the goddess of good luck would always favor them, but today Shenlinger's accident left Shen Fei feeling powerless. Just as Shen Fei was at a loss, an extremely arrogant voice broke the silence in the ward. Have you all seen it, classmates? 3 young people wearing school uniforms and strange hair colors, regardless of whether it was a hospital, walked in loudly with their phones. Shen Fei looked at several unfamiliar faces and stood up in surprise. Are you live streaming? Huang Mao, who stood in the middle of the 3, smiled and lightly patted Shen Fei's shoulder, saying with a smile, we are all good classmates and friends of Shenlinger. If you know she's in trouble, come and take a look on behalf of the whole class. Live streaming is also convenient for everyone to see Shenlinger's tragic situation. Shen Fei always felt that this was strange. The feeling these 3 people gave him made him very uncomfortable. Another person, green hair, who was live streaming on his phone, took advantage of the gap between the 2 of them and leaned in front of Shenlinger, who was unconscious, with his phone in hand. Did everyone see it? Where is this still the strongest school flower in our school? Lying in bed, half dead, just like that, Shen Fei. Just like a dead dog, ha ha ha, said the accompanying red hair with a smile. As soon as this was said, Shen Fei was certain that these few people were just coming to see his sister laugh at him. The so-called good friends were completely fooling him. What do you mean by that? Shen Fei stared fixedly at these few people, his fists tightly clenched together, and his anger began to boil in his heart. Standing in front of Shen Fei, Huang Mao pouted and took out a 10-yuan bill from his pocket, lightly tossing it onto the ground. It's not very interesting, it's just that you're orphans. Let's have a class together and come and donate. A huge donation of 10 yuan, isn't this intentional fault-finding? Shen Fei took a deep breath and before he could get angry, he saw green hair holding a phone and taking a photo from behind. Ladies and gentlemen, take a good look, Shen Linger's brother is angry and about to hit someone. We're so scared. Shen Fei looked at the playful and smiling faces of the few people, and his anger was completely suppressed in his heart. Just as he was about to explode, the yellow-haired person in front of him whispered in his ear, "Don't be angry. I want to know who caused your sister trouble. Remember to come to our live broadcast room in the same city. Hitting someone with your hands is something that rough people do." Shen Fei was so angry that his chest was restless that he wished he could kill these 3 offspring alive. But in order to find the real culprit who hurt his sister, he could only suppress his anger and watch them leave helplessly. They had just left when Shen Fei opened his phone and found the same city live broadcast. In no time, he found the live broadcast room. Just as I entered, Shen Fei saw the barrage and realized how unfair my sister was being treated in class. Isn't Shen Linger just a white lotus? I only know how to pretend to be aloof, but I don't know how naughty it is behind my back. He, such a despicable person should have gone to hell earlier. Who said she doesn't have parents? If it weren't for Huang Xiao's actions, we wouldn't have seen her so miserable. Ha ha ha. Make this lowly woman refuse Huang Xiao. How many keywords did Shen Fei see? Huang Xiao's move. Refuse Huang Xiao. Obviously, my younger sister has had an accident and cannot be separated from them. Huang Mao stood in front of the live broadcast room and first kicked out the scattered audience in the room, then closed the live broadcast room. He spoke in a strange tone and arrogantly introduced, "Oh, welcome brother Shen Linger in. You guys, hurry up and give big brother some attention." With this opening, the remaining 10 people in the live broadcast room began to speak out and mock. Ha ha ha, will you come in and be scolded? Their family doesn't have a tutor at first glance, otherwise Shen Linger wouldn't pretend like that. That slut's brother must also be a slut. The glaring barrage made Shen Fei furious. Do you want to know what's going on with Shen Linger? Huang Mao's face showed a happy expression and he said humbly, "Can't we identify the cause? Is there a foreign body in the abdomen? This thing has to start with me accidentally dropping something into her water bottle today." Shen Fei. As a brother, seeing the perpetrator's arrogant face, he couldn't keep his sanity going. I heard that there is a technique that comes from the Nanyang region, called head-lowering technique. It is said that those who have been struck by this technique will not survive tonight. Shen Fei's fingers were almost bleeding, and he angrily typed on the public screen, "Don't worry, this matter is not over." Ding dong, feeling the host's anger exploding. Mythical play system, officially activated. Shen Fei. After traveling for so long, Golden Finger finally received the payment. You have a beginner gift package. Detected that the host has not yet selected a character to play. Please quickly extract the mythological character. Extract. Shen Fei couldn't conceal his excitement. The emergence of the system will make those little Karami feel hopeless. This revenge can be avenged. Buzz. A beam of golden light suddenly appeared in Shen Fei's mind, and soon a very faint and sinister voice rang in his ear. Soul-stirring and soul-stirring, no ghosts or monsters can resist. I am the ghost and god of Yin Chao, black impermanence. The appearance of surging and evil voices made Shen Fei inexplicably excited. Congratulations to the host for winning the mythological character card. SS level ghost. Black Wuchang. The system has been bound. His system bar prominently displayed all the information about black and unstable. He couldn't conceal his excitement and urgently shouted, "Open the beginner gift pack." He wants to hurry over and seek revenge now, killing these little calamus and crying for their parents. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining the following items. Morning Stick. Soul Chain Lock. Een Soldier. Shen Fei looked at the many rewards and could already foresee the fate of those few garbage. Dare to touch my sister, I will make you unable to survive or die. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Impermanence Patrol of the City. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 2 Impermanence Patrol of the City. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining the following items. Morning Stick. Upgradable, characteristic. Suppress ghosts and evil without any hindrance. Soul Chain. Upgradable, features. Soul Binding and Soul Locking, Indifference Sharp Weapon. Soldier X4. Upgradable, level. B, features. For your dispatch, capable of anything. Eye of Ghosts and Gods. Upgradable, characteristic. See through all illusions, ghosts and monsters have nowhere to hide. Patrol Carriage X1. Characteristic. It emits a majestic aura that intimidates ghosts and evil, and is also a good means of transportation. After receiving a large wave of equipment, Shen Fei became more confident. He tried to open the eyes of ghosts and gods to identify the cause of his sister's illness. A line of subtitles jumped up from Shenlinger. Human. Shenlinger. Status. Extremely poor. Accompanying ghost spirit. A. Level, problem. Black spot mother descends. Problem solving. Kill the caster/kill the mother descendant. After seeing the cause of the illness, Shen Fei was so angry that his fists creaked. You really hit the jackpot. Ding dong, trigger key mission. Rescue sister, desperate for life from thousands of miles. Reward. Demon subduing fist. Full level, the target character's coordinates have been automatically displayed. This system is really considerate. Even if Shen Fei takes his life, he has marked the coordinates of the perpetrator. To Shen Fei's surprise, there were a total of 11 people persecuting his sister. One slut after another, right? I hope your mouths can continue to be so hard later. Ding dong, trigger main task. The era of ghosts and monsters rampant, demons rampant, and collapse needs to come to an end. Task. Patrol the entire city in the name of ghosts and gods. Accumulated reputation. 500,000 points. Reward. 200 years of cultivation, A. Level strength, special reward. Thunder technique, at full level, Shen Fei looked at the second task and nodded knowingly. He knew what to do now. He slowly walked out of the ward, indicating that this revenge drama was about to unfold. At this moment, the starry night was thick, and Shen Fei stood on the rooftop, gazing at the full moon on the horizon, with mixed emotions in his heart. Being a low-level person for so long, everything is going to change from tonight onwards. Activate mythical role-playing. Black impermanence. Ding dong, successful startup. A black aura instantly enveloped Shen Fei. After the black air dissipated, Shen Fei's whole body had undergone earth-shattering changes. He was dressed in a black decadent and fierce suit, wearing a rectangular hat engraved with the words, "Happy at First Sight," on his head. His face was dark and majestic, and his upright demeanor was intimidating. Shen Fei felt the power of ghosts and gods flowing throughout his body, changing not only his appearance but also his voice, becoming more profound. He gently clenched his fist and whispered with a smile on his face, "How should I carry out this delightful torture?" He moved his mind and summoned all 4 B-level differences in the system space. A black aura surged in front of him, and 4 of them were dressed in black battle armor, with battle swords on their waists. The upright difference was already waiting in front of them. They have all skeleton faces, and their body is full of chi to the extreme. Although they are only at level B, their individual combat ability is not inferior to any A-level ghost. Sir. 4 attendants were half kneeling respectfully in front of Shen Fei, waiting for his dispatch. Before seeking revenge, Shen Fei casually completed the second task of the system, so he coldly whispered, "The world is crumbling, demons are in power. Follow me to patrol the entire city and restore the reputation of the underworld." Those who encounter ghosts and evil spirits will be killed without mercy. When encountering those who bully the weak, killing them is unforgivable. When encountering those who harm heaven and reason, there is no forgiveness for killing them. Take off. Yes, exclaimed the four negative companions in unison. Shen Fei then summoned a carriage and slowly crawled in, indicating that the revenge scene was about to begin. The streets of Tianqiong City began to sound the sound of hooves. Accompanied by gusts of gloomy wind, a black carriage visibly shuttled through the street. The most eye-catching one is a black flag hanging in front of the car, with a single, black, character written on it. The front of the car is controlled by two female drivers, while the back of the car is closely followed by two female drivers. Soldiers borrow the way, strangers avoid. The impermanence patrols the city, and ghosts and monsters are invincible. The gloomy and resonant sound echoed in the air. The ghost energy in this world has revived, and the underworld has completely come to an end, as if it had never existed before. So every night comes, the entire city becomes a training ground for ghosts and monsters, and once targeted, the consequences are unimaginable. Nowadays, Shen Fei travels around under the guise of black impermanence. Firstly, he loudly proclaims the existence of the underworld. Secondly, it is convenient to absorb reputation points, and thirdly, he also goes to seek revenge for his sister. Not long. The people hiding at home were also attracted by the sound, and they all lay puzzled by the window, looking at the carriage rushing past outside. What is this? I'll go. It's really a dark difference. Impermanence. Are ghosts and gods black impermanence? After so many years of silence in the underworld, are we finally going to take action? This city is saved now, there's no need to be bullied by those guys anymore. Woo-woo. Those who have been oppressed for a long time, seeing the darkness of the underworld, have already cried uncontrollably. Since an unknown time, the revival of ghost energy has resulted in too many tragedies. Now that the underworld has returned to the mortal world, it also proves that the darkness in this area will eventually be broken. The ghosts and monsters that roamed the streets were all startled by the arrival of the carriage and began to scatter and flee. Can you still forgive the Yin Cha since they met? The two Yin guards standing behind the carriage drew their swords, and with a slight slash of sword energy, they killed all the scattered little ghosts. The people hiding in the house were so shocked and they saw this scene that they didn't know what to say. On a wilderness camping site 50 kilometers away, the three thugs, yellow, green, and red, were eating barbecue with 7 girls in their class, live streaming, unaware of the impending revenge. Hey! Why isn't that slut's brother talking? I know now, that slut must have died, he's wiping away his tears, ha ha ha, I have an idea. If that slut really dies, a girl with yellow hair said with a smile as she held a beer. We'll take a wreath and send it to his house tomorrow. Above it is written. Farewell to the despicable Shenlinger, may you never be reborn. What's going on? Once this notice was spoken, it immediately aroused everyone's agreement. The man disliked Shenlinger because Huang Mao wanted to seduce her, which led to his rejection in public. As a result, his two attendants, Green Mao and Red Mao, also became disgusted. The woman hates Shenlinger because her appearance stole their halo in the class. Driven by jealousy and vanity, they hated Shenlinger to the bone and formed a group to attack her. But what they didn't know was that a carriage suspended in mid-air, rushing towards them quickly, was about to make them realize what despair was. The underworld is on patrol, and strangers are taking refuge. The impermanence patrols the city, and ghosts and monsters are invincible. The crowd fell silent for an instant upon hearing the sudden sound. Because Shen Fei is here. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Fish in the Net. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 4. Eternal punishment of evil, that is, heavenly punishment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Eternal punishment of evil, that is, heavenly punishment. A group, arrive at the designated location. Two groups, arrive at the designated location. In front of a dilapidated residential building, a group of young people dressed in suits are surrounding the house with neat lines, making it impassable. A beautiful and cool-looking woman sitting in an off-road vehicle couldn't help but lift her red lips and outline a smile at the corner of her mouth as she listened to the report on the walkie-talkie. Arrange the formation. They are a special department of Tianqiong City, established for over 200 years. In this era of revival of ghost energy, they specialize in cleaning up and guarding the existence of a clear side. Tonight they plan to surround and suppress the villains who have been causing trouble in Tianqiong City. Before the formation could be set, only a loud bang was heard. The decaying gate of the residential building was shattered by a tremendous force, and a sinister voice shattered the silence. Just because of you, you also want to arrest me. A surging black mist rushed out of the room. Sitting in the car, Ji Yueshuang looked at the sudden situation outside and hurriedly picked up the walkie-talkie to command, give up the formation, defend the enemy. Defend the enemy. In less than 3 seconds, the entire residential building was completely covered in black mist. Ji Yueshuang inexplicably widened her eyes, listening to the ghostly howls in the air, and her heart gradually sank. Captain. These auras are strange, and we cannot use the power of companion ghosts. Captain. Don't come in. There are a lot of ghosts and monsters. We're in ambush. Ji Yueshuang originally thought it was just a simple arrest, but she didn't expect the other party to hide it deeply and use such malicious methods. Jia, a bald man gradually emerged from the black mist, dragging a member who had fallen into a coma and walking straight to Ji Yueshuang. The bald head and facial features are extremely ugly, coupled with this playful face, it looks more like a talking hairless monkey. You should be the leader of the team, right? With a wicked smile on his bald face, he said, I know your strength is not weak, but if you hit my move, you can only be considered unlucky. If it weren't for the bald man leaving a hand behind, he might have been subdued long ago. If you have any fart, let it go. Ji Yueshuang stared at him coldly, with a clear expression of disgust on her face. She has always been jealous of evil, and being able to talk to him is already the biggest concession. The people inside have all passed out. If you don't want them to have an accident, take off your clothes. Ji Yueshuang. Big Bald, a villain, finally knows what to do. Ha ha ha, my favorite thing is to see you self-righteous people kneeling in front of me begging for me. Especially for someone like you who is towering and has a good appearance, it's even more important to make use of them. Ji Yueshuang. If we let him go, Ji Yueshuang can make concessions. Anyway, if we let him go, we can still catch him back. How dare this guy be so bold now, let Ji Yueshuang, as the captain, take off her clothes. You. Ji Yueshuang stared at her bald head with her eyes fixed on her, knowing that she could kill this bastard with just one punch, yet she was so threatened. The bald man snapped his fingers. The black mist behind me has completely dissipated. All subordinates were suddenly picked up by ugly-looking ghosts and monsters, and the number of ghosts and monsters was so large that the yard was packed. Take it off quickly. As long as I give a command, these people will all die. The bald head and facial features were almost twisted together with a smile, and her eyes were squinting as she stared at Ji Yueshuang, as if she had already seen her compromise. Ji Yueshuang's brain is running fast, but she can't think of a solution to break the situation. Shaming in public can save subordinates, and it is indeed the smallest casualties. She lightly bit her red lips, took a deep breath, and placed her hand on the button of her suit, already making a compromise gesture. As the proud daughter of a generation, she has never faced such a bad situation since her debut. Competing for strength, all the ghosts and monsters present are not her opponents. But the other party insisted on using their subordinates to threaten her, it's absolutely despicable. Ha ha ha. Seeing that Ji Yueshuang had already compromised, Big Bald couldn't help but take out his phone and plan to capture such a magnificent scene. When Ji Yueshuang was so angry that she was about to undo the last button, a loud voice rang out in mid-air. The underworld is on patrol, and strangers are taking refuge. The impermanence patrols the city, and ghosts and monsters are invincible. With a cold expression in his bald eyes, at this critical moment, anyone dares to come and cause trouble, right? For an era where the underworld has fallen into nothingness, he has practiced for so long and doesn't even believe in the existence of indifferences. Damn it, who is it? He roared wildly in the sky. Ji Yueshuang looked into the mid-air not far away and saw a carriage emitting flowing light rushing towards her. Big Bald with a fierce face, he cursed in a low voice, garbage pretending to be gods and playing ghosts. Do you really think there are still gods in the world? Smash this carriage for me. Hurry up. Why are you so stunned? No matter how bald he shouted, the little ghost standing in the courtyard dared not move around. Ji Yueshuang noticed that their eyes were filled with fear, and even their souls trembled violently, just like a mouse seeing a cat. Bang bang. Before long, the carriage had already come to a steady stop in front of the bald man. The little ghosts all trembled and knelt down on the ground, bowing their heads and not daring to offend their eyes. What's going on? Shouted the bald man in a fit of anger. Even discerning people know that they are counterfeit. How could you be so afraid of it? He didn't understand, even if Yin Cha was standing in front of him, he didn't believe in the idea that there was Yin Cha in the underworld. If there are any. Why did they go so early? They can still let these villains do evil, and these ghosts dare not be so reckless. The 4 Yin attendants remained silent and slowly scattered aside, waiting for Shen Fei's command. Shen Fei, still dressed in a black robe and fierce clothing, slowly walked off the carriage. Is it possible that I am really a ghost? Black Impermanence's face was exposed in front of them, dressed in an inviolable black divine power, coupled with the morning staff he was currently holding in his hand. This kind of equipment is simply a mythological figure introduced in the book. Ghosts, gods, and black impermanence. Ji Yueshuang didn't know why, but since his appearance, her heart has been trembling uncontrollably, as if encountering an unbeatable terrifying monster. He is like a big mountain, pressing down on Ji Yueshuang with fear. De Guangtou swallowed his saliva, propped up his trembling posture, took a few steps back before saying, "Who the hell are you? Why pretend to be a ghost god in the underworld?" Shen Fei chuckled and said, "My existence doesn't need anyone to question it. You only need to know. You have done many evil deeds, and the retribution of heaven is your destiny. And I represent heavenly punishment, the impermanent ghosts and gods who come to punish the evil way." Su Bai's words were full of oppression, causing his bald head to tremble all over. His retribution has really come. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. The power of ghosts and gods, undoubtedly, seeking recommended votes, seeking comments. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The power of ghosts and gods, undoubtedly, seeking recommended votes, seeking comments. The power of ghosts and gods cannot be questioned. Shen Fei carried a morning baton with one hand and stared at the bald head with a smile on his face. With just one glance, the bald man seemed to see the boundless hell emerging from behind the black impermanence in front of him. In the boundless hell, dangers abounded, and evil spirits were everywhere in pain, which frightened him and made him tremble uncontrollably. Shua cold sweat dripped down from him like a waterfall, and his face turned pale, as if he had already sensed the fate he would suffer. Big Bald bit the tip of his tongue, barely calming his mind, then took out a rusty knife from his pocket and stabbed himself in the abdomen. Shen Fei stood calmly in front of him, not stopping his behavior. Anyway, the ultimate outcome is definitely to make it fly to ashes. The ghostly eyes on his body immediately revealed the clues. Rusty blade descending. Those who have mastered this spell will have a significant increase in strength, with a body as hard as iron and a fist like sword. You've driven me crazy, I want to die with you too. A fierce ghostly aura erupted around the bald head, indicating that the rust blade had taken effect. He has no way out, only with a desperate struggle can he have a glimmer of hope. When Shen Fei saw this cargo, he thought of his sister who was suffering in the hospital. I think it must be Huang Mao, that bastard, who took the head-lowering technique from this guy's hand, that's why the perpetrator has such a miscellaneous character. As both an enemy and an extremely evil person, Shen Fei naturally does not need to show mercy. Die for me. The bald man wildly waved his hands, his fist speed was so fast that one after another, like sharp blades, the fist wind rushed towards Shen Fei's side. Shen Fei did not let Yin Zai take action, but instead walked leisurely towards him in the leisurely courtyard. This kind of garbage fist style has no effect on him at all. You should know that the ferocious clothing he wears is a ghostly item, and anything below the S level can have no effect. How? How could it be? The shock was not only on her bald head, but also on Ji Yueshuang's face as she stood by watching the battle. Even if it's such a fierce attack, although it's not fatal, she dare not all come next. Is it my turn now? Shen Fei had already walked up to him, gently lifted the morning staff, and a grimace appeared on his face. Your sins, I will settle them. The gray-white morning stick let out a buzzing sound, and a black hellfire emerged from the stick. Shen Fei's aura was like that of a mountain, pressing his bald head hard to breathe, let alone running for his life. Row. Row my life. Boom. Shen Fei threw a violent stick down hard. The terrifying waves stirred up a wave of sound, completely overturning the unresponsive seasonal frost to the ground. When she opened her eyes, her beautiful face stiffened inexplicably. A huge pit half a meter wide was smashed out on the ground, and the bald head collapsed into the pit like mud, being crazily corroded by a black flame. He didn't die directly, like a dead dog, struggling fiercely in pain in the big pit. Ah! Please spare your life. Please spare your life, sir. Now he finally believed that the person in front of him was a ghost from the underworld. Because only the underworld has such means of using flames that can even strike the soul. Shen Fei ignored the plea for mercy and turned his head to look at the group of little ghosts kneeling in front of the house. Your master has taken you to eat delicious food and drink spicy food, hasn't he? Shen Fei's eyes gradually turned cold and he gave a faint order, these are ghosts that harm the world, we can't keep them. Indifference. Yes. Yin Cha was already prepared, pulling out his sword from his waist, like chopping melons and vegetables, with each knife a little ghost. Kaka. In less than 10 seconds, all the little ghosts were completely scared on the spot. Shen Feiling didn't even give them a chance to beg for mercy, so they should all be killed together. After finishing, Shen Fei was about to take a taxi back to his mansion. He was about to get on the carriage when he was stopped by a female voice. Hello. Are you really the ghost god of the underworld? Black Wuchang. Shen Fei stood still and didn't turn to look at her. He just whispered lightly, do your job well, there's no need to ask about my identity. After speaking, Shen Fei got into the carriage and, amidst the loud cries of the underworld, made his way back to the mansion. Ji Yueshuang looked at the departing carriage and muttered, is it true impermanence or false impermanence? But we also have to thank him. If it weren't for the sudden arrival of black impermanence, I'm afraid even the seasonal frost would have been ashamed today. Inside the carriage, Shen Fei stared at the rewards in the system, as well as the 15,000 points lying in the points column, and was immediately surprised. The demon subduing fist has covered his entire body, and the power of the 3 fists can unleash terrifying power. But what's going on with these 3,000 points? System, what's going on with this integral? Each time the host kills a ghost, a villain can earn corresponding points, the details of the points are. I won't say much more nonsense. Points can be used for lucky draws, skill upgrades, and weapon quality enhancement. He found that Black Wuchang has a skill bar that can be used to light up and activate. A small skill requires 10,000, and a large skill requires 100,000. Light up the first skill. Ding dong. Absolute Ghost Claw, upgradable. It has been lit. Feature. Possessing the power of a fierce claw, it can concentrate its strength and unleash powerful killing power. It can also capture anything flying in 100%. Reminder. This skill is the initial skill of Black Impermanence and can only be used when playing. Do you love the dual directional skill that can prevent damage? In no time, the carriage stopped on the rooftop of the hospital, indicating that Shen Fei had arrived at the station. Shen Fei cancelled the role and restored his original appearance. He walked briskly, eagerly rushing into his sister's ward. When Shen Fei broke into the hospital room, his younger sister had already woken up. She looked bewildered as the doctors kept asking questions around her. Everyone felt amazed that she could recover. This is so amazing, I don't know what happened, but suddenly it recovered. It's just a miracle. Even though I couldn't endure tonight, I suddenly got better. Ha ha ha, I'm sure this girl's fate is good. Shenlinger didn't speak either, anyway she only knew she had a nightmare that lasted for a long time. Until a shout rang out in the ward. Shenlinger's originally bewildered expression gradually regained its vitality, and she smiled as she looked at Shen Fei walking towards him. She immediately regained her vitality and waved at him repeatedly. Brother, I miss you so much. Shenlinger jumped out of bed and hurriedly threw herself into Shen Fei's arms. Shen Fei only hugged his sister. Although he had only been sick for a day, he couldn't bear it anymore. Now that his younger sister is safe and sound, it is already the best blessing from heaven for him. I miss you so much too. No one knows how much heartache this sentence hides. As soon as the two people hugged each other, an extremely piercing sound rang out beside them. My money is missing. Just now, this girl was in the ward. You must have stolen it. Shen Fei. Shenlinger. You see this, isn't it too much to ask for a ticket? End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Professional Household of Corrupt Persons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Professional Household of Corrupt Persons. My money is missing. Just now, this girl was in the ward. You must have stolen it. At that time. A very sharp voice shattered the warmth of the moment. Shen Fei furrowed his eyebrows and looked at the middle-aged woman walking from the next ward in confusion. Middle-aged women are in their late 50s, with narrow facial features and a sharp and sarcastic expression, resembling those who come to your house to steal dogs. Shenlinger looked at the doctors at a loss. I don't have it. Before long, the tears of grievance had already swirled in my eyes. When I woke up, everyone was around me. The middle-aged woman didn't wait for the doctors to speak up and urgently cursed, You damn girl dare to lie, right? Just now, there were only the two of us in the ward. You must have pretended to sleep and stole my money while I went to the bathroom. She was so excited that she was about to extend her other hand to grab Shenlinger, but only halfway through was she caught by Shen Fei. His gaze was cold and he warned word by word, If you want to speak, speak well. If you dare to take action, give it a try. He already possessed the power of ghosts and gods, and under such a profound gaze, the middle-aged woman trembled for a moment. Anyway, I don't care. She shrank her neck, still arrogantly shouting, Anyway, my money is gone. There's no surveillance here, otherwise would my money still be able to slip away on long legs. The doctors saw the arrogant attitude of the middle-aged woman and began to defend Shenlinger. When we arrived, she hadn't woken up yet. Why did she bully the little girl like that? I really don't know what you're messing around with. Shen Fei activated the Eye of Ghosts and Gods. As he thought, This woman is simply a weirdo. Human. Wang Shuyan. Personality. Bully the soft and fear the hard, love to take advantage of small things. Character status. Excellent. Shen Fei couldn't figure it out. Even though she was wearing a bandage, why did the system say it was excellent? You have come to our place 7 times this month. Even though you are fine, you insist on using bandages to deceive people. Believe it or not, I'll report you later. Shen Linger's attending doctor was so angry that he let out a sigh of anger. Shen Fei also understood that this guy is just a porcelain dealer, constantly thinking about taking advantage of the good things. Moreover, there was a faint red resentment emanating from Wang Shuyan's body, indicating that there were more people hitting porcelain, and their resentment began to entangle her. If left unchecked, Wang Shuyan will die due to resentment. People need face and trees need skin, but the attending doctor clearly underestimates the face of middle-aged women. Do you want to join forces and bully people? Bullying me as an injured person, right? Wang Shuyan is like a mother tiger with fried feathers, pushing the attending doctor hand in hand. Shen Fei discovered that there was no surveillance in the ward, perhaps this is also why Wang Shuyan dared to be so reckless. But he just overlooked one thing. The ward where his sister was sleeping happened to align with the surveillance cameras in the hallway, and for the convenience of entry and exit, there were 2 transparent small glasses on the door of the ward. Just check the surveillance footage, isn't it okay? There's a surveillance camera over there, why don't we investigate? Shen Fei's sudden words startled Wang Shuyan. What kind of surveillance? I'm telling you, I'm quite old, don't scare me. If you want to join forces and bully me, there's no way. The attending doctor chuckled and said, those who are pure are self-righteous. If we want to mislead others, our hospital is also the first to refuse. I'll go adjust the surveillance now. The attending doctor angrily walked out of the ward, and Wang Shuyan was about to stop her when she was attracted by 2 people who came in. Are there people from the TV station? The 2 people who came in were one holding a microphone, the other carrying a camera, and a small badge with a work permit hanging on their chest. When Wang Shuyan saw them, she immediately forgot about falsely accusing Shen Linger. Seeing them nod, he immediately pulled them to his own hospital bed to chat. As for the doctors standing here, they also laughed bitterly. Don't take it to heart, this one is a regular customer of our hospital. A young nurse sighed leisurely and said, I have been hospitalized 7 times this month, and every time I checked, I couldn't find any problems. I have to say that I am feeling unwell all over, which is convenient for misleading people. You can make a mistake of 3,000 to 5,000 yuan at once. Another doctor quickly took over the conversation and said, if she still refuses to give up, please contact us as soon as possible and we will testify to you as soon as possible. After feeling the kindness of the medical staff, Shen Fei also nodded with a smile. This little episode has just finished. Shen Fei chatted with Shen Linger while perking up his ears to listen to the conversation in the neighboring hospital bed. You guys came at the right time. I was walking on the street when I was hit by the delivery boy. Wang Shuyan entrusted Chu Baba to cry and said, he sent me to the hospital as soon as possible, but he refused to pay anything to treat me. My son at home is also disabled. Every day, I go out to pick up garbage and rely on our orphaned mother to make a living. He must be bullying our orphan and widowed mother, refusing to pay for treatment, sobbing. Shen Fei. Shen Linger. Why didn't this guy show his arrogant face just now? On the contrary, such a wronged villain first complains, using the name of the television station to enrich their pockets. The female journalist also deeply sympathized with her experience and immediately stated, don't worry, Auntie, we will be treated fairly by you no matter what. In no time. A young man wearing a delivery work uniform hurriedly walked in, holding something wrapped in black cloth in his arms and walking in somewhat haggard. As soon as Wang Shuyan saw this person, she burst into tears of grievance. Do you know that I only dare to appear when I contact the TV station? I tell you, if you don't take the money to treat me again, I will definitely defend my rights to the end. Woo-woo. The young man bit his lips and looked at Wang Xuan with despair on his face. Then, with a thud, he knelt down on the spot. Auntie. He held on to the thing in his hand and kowtowed wildly. Please let me go, I really don't have any money. My wife passed away yesterday and all the money was used to treat her. I really don't have any money. Even though you were running against me in the opposite direction, I sent you to the hospital. Why did you ask for 10,000 yuan when you opened your mouth? I really don't have any money. Please let me go. A penny can't defeat a hero. The delivery guy's wife just passed away, but he met such a disgusting guy who was completely in a state of mental breakdown. The reporter and photographer were both somewhat surprised and completely stunned. But this dead old lady only has money in her eyes and doesn't give her any way to survive. She also stood up crying and hurriedly rushed to the little brother, taking advantage of his excitement to snatch the things from his arms. Be poor, I want to see what you're holding. Such an ugly face fully showcases the words disgusting. The young man outside was fiercely protecting the things in his arms, but after a fight, the things still fell to the ground. I only heard a click. Shen Fei clearly noticed. The delivery guy's expression of despair was on his face. No. The old woman who died saw something fall to the ground, gave a crazy beating. Oh, what other treasures are hidden? I want to take a look. As soon as the black cloth was opened, she saw white powdery things all over the ground. Wang Xuyan's eyes widened and she said, bones. Ashes. Shen Fei. For the sake of money, I even broke someone else's urn. Absolutely. It's absolutely despicable. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Anger starts from the heart. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Anger starts from the heart. Bones. Ashes. Wang Xuan let out a cry of surprise, and the atmosphere suddenly became unprecedentedly tense. The delivery guy collapsed and frantically hugged the scattered ashes in his arms, as if to tightly guard his most important thing. Unfortunately, the harder he tries to protect, the more others will tear it to pieces. Wang Xuyan's gaze only froze for a second, then became extremely fierce. She kicked the delivery guy and cursed with sharp teeth. Bad luck. My wife is dead, and I'm still bouncing around with my urn. Isn't it intentional to curse me to death? Wang Xuyan's words were like a knife, piercing through the last kindness of the delivery boy fiercely. His eyes gradually became fierce, staring fixedly at Wang Xuyan. Wang Xuyan also felt a hint of ominous aura and took a step back in a huff. I can tell you, don't move around. I have a heart disease, if you dare to take action, you can try. Pop. Before she could finish speaking, the delivery guy slapped her and called out. Under the invasion of tremendous force, Wang Xuyan was knocked to the ground. The journalist and the photographer wanted to stop, but they saw the delivery guy with a fierce expression on his face, as if he was about to devour the dead old lady alive. Some people often trample on others' bottom line and then argue with you about morality to restrain you. But will someone who even shatters their last hope still care so much? Do you? Dare you hit me? Wang Xuyan was so slapped that she couldn't find her way north, and she kept shouting, there's not 1,000,000 or 800,000 right now, I'm not finished with you. I want you to know what the consequences of bullying people are. I want you to regret coming into this world. Ah! The delivery guy, with red eyes, clenched his fists and began to violently smash at Wang Xuyan. Bang 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 bang. He collapsed while hammering and cried loudly. Why bully people like this when you hit me in the opposite direction? I've all knelt down and begged you, why are you going so far? You even scattered my wife's ashes, Why, even though I have nothing left, you still bully me like this? The delivery guy's wife has just passed away and is already in a state of collapse. She has to be blackmailed by this dead old woman. So once the matter of overwhelming his last straw occurs, it will not be so easy to contain. Wang Xueyan was beaten until her nose and face were swollen, and she had lost her previous arrogance. Shen Fei saw everything in his eyes, and under the inside of the eyes of ghosts and gods, the scattered ashes gradually gave rise to a red resentment, which fiercely wrapped around Wang Xueyan's body. Obviously, she has already been targeted. Sir, said the sweet-looking journalist at the right time, if you have something to say, let's not act so aggressively. Wang Xueyan. When he hit me, why didn't you speak up? Now you're starting to pretend to be a good person, right? The delivery guy wiped away his tears and didn't pay attention to him. Instead, he picked up the ashes on the ground on his own. Miss Journalist didn't want to see him suffer like this, so she took the initiative to persuade him, I have a rough understanding of this matter. If you are really falsely accused, she said, we will give you a fair deal. The delivery guy shook his head leisurely and looked at him with a complex expression, saying, thank you, but it's not necessary anymore. He knows Wang Xueyan's character very well, can he still end up well after beating her? Never mind, since he started, he has already had new plans. Shen Fei noticed that his expression suddenly became particularly relaxed from the moment he spoke, as if relieved. The delivery guy wrapped his ashes in black cloth and left without looking back. There was a brief silence in the ward, and after Wang Xueyan confirmed that he would not come back, she started shouting. How do you handle things? Watching him beat me so badly. Do you still have any sense of respect for the elderly? She covered her swollen old face and started shouting at the journalist's sister. Neither the journalist nor the photographer paid attention to her and turned around and walked outside. She already knew the ins and outs of the situation, let alone become a tool for Wang Xueyan's wrongdoing. Before leaving, she didn't forget to turn her head to look at Wang Xueyan and whispered meaningfully, remember, people are doing it, and the sky is watching. After speaking, no matter what she says, just leave. As soon as they left, there was a loud noise outside. I only heard a bang. Then a scream rang out from outside. Someone jumped off the building. Shen Fei and Shen Linger exchanged a glance, their eyes filled with disbelief, as if they had anticipated something. The two hurriedly rushed to the window and looked down. What caught the eye was the familiar work uniform, and more importantly, the desolation revealed by a splash of blood scattered on the ground. Wang Xueyan also lay by the window. She opened her mouth and burst into tears of grief. This one who kills thousands of dollars. Beat me up like this and jump off the building. What should I do with my injury? Who should I count on? Shen Fei. Shen Linger. Despite being forced to death by her, she not only showed no remorse, but also showed such a despicable attitude. An indescribable anger erupted from the hearts of these siblings. Shen Fei clenched his fists tightly, wishing he could cut this guy to pieces. Ding dong, task assigned. Punish evil and judge Wang Xueyan. Reward. Reincarnation law. Feature. In this era of ghost energy revival, after death, one can only become a wandering soul wild ghost. The host can judge and transcend the cycle of ghosts and monsters. Note. Only voluntary reincarnation is allowed, not forced reincarnation. Those who are reincarnated will have a good life in the next life. Shen Fei's fists were clenched so loudly that even the system had to come to judge her. Is there any need to survive with such garbage? At this moment, Shen Fei was furious and stared at Wang Xueyan with eyes that seemed to devour her alive. Wang Xuan, who was originally crying, seemed to be in an endless hell after meeting Shen Fei's gaze, trembling with fear and completely losing her previous arrogance. "You bitch! You're damn it!" A faint ghostly power lingered around his fingertips, and his emotions began to rage due to the death of the delivery guy. "People like you, living in the world will only make rice more expensive. You. Shen Fei's chest is full of ups and downs, and now he wants to act on behalf of heaven." Wang Xuan was so frightened that she trembled like a sieve of bran, and Shen Fei in front of her was as terrifying as a deadly cultivator. She dared to guarantee that as long as she dared to speak back, her fate would definitely be particularly tragic. "You're going to die so hard." Shen Fei let out a loud roar as his emotions spiraled out of control. It was also this roar that made him make a decision. On-site trial, with a ghostly demeanor, beat her to death. Press down on the plot, it will be more enjoyable later. Give me a few tickets and get rid of the old lady immediately. Immediately. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. The Misfortune of Delivery Guys has sparked nationwide anger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The Misfortune of Delivery Guys has sparked nationwide anger. You're going to die so hard. Shen Fei lost control of his emotions, and endless anger erupted from his heart. A faint hint of ghostly power emanated from the fingertips, and there was already a tendency to play the role of Black Wuchang on sight, fiercely attacking Wang Xuan. Wang Xuan was frightened by Shen Fei's explosive force and trembled like a sieve of bran. Who would have thought that this seemingly weak young man only had such a fierce side? "Brother!" Until a crying voice sounded, Shen Fei, who was furious, finally regained a trace of clarity. He watched as Shen Linger's eyes turned red, and the delicate and beautiful face was filled with lingering worries. A strong sense of concern had already hung on her face. She knew her brother's jealous nature and helplessly tugged at his clothes, shouting softly, "Brother, I want to go home." Shen Fei bit his lips and took a deep breath, trying to calm himself down. After all, after gaining the power of ghosts and gods, his emotions are easily implicated, especially when encountering unusual events, which makes it easier for him to develop a sense of guilt. After taking a few deep breaths, Shen Fei finally stopped his anger and nodded heavily at Shen Linger, saying, "Okay, let's proceed with the discharge. Go home." Wang Xuan looked at Shen Fei's siblings who were already packing up in the adjacent hospital bed and breathed a slow sigh of relief in her heart. Just now, she really felt like she was being stared at by a ferocious object. If it weren't for Shen Linger speaking, she would have died very unsightly. But Shen Fei also wouldn't tell her that since she dropped the urn, the resentment on her body has become completely uncontrollable. Especially the black aura emanating from the urn, witnessed by the eyes of ghosts and gods, has merged with that strand of resentment. Next, even without his intervention, Wang Xuan will still face retaliation from ghosts and monsters. Genius shines brightly. Dragging his tired body, Lu Tianai struggled to break into the leadership office. "Leader, if you can listen to me, our TV station will be redefined by everyone. There's no need to answer those interviews about finding cats and dogs anymore." The fat leader, who had not yet woken up, looked at Lu Tianai with a surprised expression on his face. Their TV station is already in name only, otherwise Lu Tianai wouldn't have gone to the hospital in the early morning to receive an interview with Wang Xuan. What does this mean? Leader Fei Fei looked at Lu Tianai, waiting for her explanation. She was holding a USB flash drive in her hand, which was a clip she had spent over an hour editing. Leader Fei Fei inserted the USB drive into the computer, and upon seeing the picture, the three views exploded. Especially when he saw Wang Xuan fall off the thing that the delivery guy was protecting, and when he opened the scene, it looked like an urn, he almost died of anger. Next was jumping off the building. This is the most explosive news. Code the scene of jumping off the building and send it to me on the morning news. I want to be faster than all TV stations in the first moment. This is their TV station's only chance, like a drowning person grabbing a life-saving straw. Lu Tianai nodded gratefully and then bowed to the leader of Fei Fei instead of the delivery guy. She was a complete witness to this incident. Although Wang Xueyan did not break the law, she has lost her morality and trampled on the bottom line of many people. Without the consent of the leader of Fei Fei, even if it is a news explosion, it cannot be disclosed to the world. Since the law cannot punish her, let the pressure of public opinion crush her to death. 7 o'clock in the morning. Shen Fei and Shen Linger returned to their residence. After a day of separation, everything inside the house remained unchanged, but Shen Fei's mood had undergone a tremendous change. Now Shen Linger is safe and sound, which is also what Shen Fei wants to see the most. As soon as Shen Linger entered the door, she hurriedly packed up her things, and then carried a small backpack and pretended to walk out. Shen Fei furrowed his eyebrows and couldn't help but wonder as he said, "Early in the morning, you don't want to eat something to cushion your stomach, so you want to go to school." Having lowered his head, Shen Fei also knew that his sister was safe and sound. Shen Linger grinned awkwardly and said, "No, brother, just now, the special department issued a notice in the interns group, asking us to gather at the school gate at 8 o'clock. Upon hearing this, Shen Fei found it difficult to continue obstructing him, as it was related to his younger sister's future. "Okay." Shen Linger chuckled and said, "Don't worry, I'll just have some food on my way to school." "Goodbye then." Shen Fei suddenly looked at her seriously and reminded her word by word, "Goodbye, goodbye. If someone bullies you at school, remember to tell me. Don't bear it alone. Do you know?" Shen Linger's expression froze when she said these words. After a moment of hesitation, she gestured with a scissor hand and nodded, saying, "I'll comply." If it weren't for those 3 little miscellaneous hairs, Shen Fei wouldn't have known what his sister had gone through at school. Anyway, he is a body of ghosts and gods, no garbage can bully his sister. Farewell to his sister. Shen Fei habitually turned on the TV to listen to the news broadcast, while cleaning up. Just as the TV was just turned on, he saw the scene at the hospital. "Please let me go, I really don't have any money. My wife passed away yesterday and all the money was used to treat her. I really don't have any money." In the picture, the delivery guy is kneeling on the ground, frantically kowtowing and begging for mercy. As for Wang Xueyan, she had a proud and haughty face, completely devoid of any sympathy, as if she had already seen through the poor acting skills of the delivery guy. She stood up and fiercely engaged in a fight with him. Then there was a click. "I want to see what's inside you." Bone Ash. Upon seeing this, Shen Fei found it difficult to control his anger because he knew what was going to happen next. About 3 minutes later, the young man jumped off the building. The female journalist Lu Tianai stood in front of the camera, tears in her eyes, and painfully recounted the whole story. Ms. Wang said she was hit by a delivery guy and the other person refused to pay for medical expenses before seeking our help. But what we see in the picture is like that. She opened her mouth and demanded 10,000 yuan, and we also confirmed to the hospital that Ms. Wang has been hospitalized for the 7th time this month. That means she has already blackmailed 6 victims in front of her. The delivery guy was forced to a dead end this time, and ultimately couldn't bear to commit suicide. At the same time as the news was broadcasted, countless self-media outlets rushed to release videos. This porcelain collision has already ignited public anger among Wang Xueyan. Forcing a living person to a dead end, along with the ashes, to be raised. Such behavior is no less than digging ancestral graves and destroying ancestral temples as revenge. The middle-aged old lady can't deceive people, just smash the bucket. Wang Xueyan. Old lady's address. Such news has completely exploded the internet. As for Shen Fei, he sat silently on the sofa, pondering how to take action. Universal trial. This may be a good idea. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Missing children. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 9 Missing Children 8:30 a.m. Shen Linger and 7 classmates boarded the special department bus and stopped in front of a residential area. Hello, Officer G. Everyone got off the car, and Ji Yueshuang was already waiting in front of the community. Their childish faces showed a hint of admiration, and they all greeted the team leader Ji Yueshuang in unison. Ji Yueshuang's beautiful and stunning face did not show a smile, but instead gave a serious reminder. This is the crime scene, no loud noise is allowed. Come over here with me. Everyone. Although Ji Yueshuang's coldness and beauty are well known throughout the city, I never expected it to be so cold. Everyone followed in the footsteps of Ji Yueshuang and entered a room. Woo. My child. Why did it disappear? They, consisting of 9 people, had just entered the room when they were rendered particularly heavy by screams of excruciating pain. Ji Yueshuang's expression was serious as she stood at the door and solemnly explained to them, "Today is your first day as an intern. I want you to solve this matter today. I will rate each of you based on your performance. The rest is up to you to decide how to inquire about the situation, and the ladies inside will also cooperate with you." After speaking, Ji Yueshuang leaned against the door and made a gesture of invitation to several people. 8 interns nervously walked into the hall, standing in front of a crying young woman who was about 27 or 8 years old. Her face was haggard, her eyes were red, her voice was almost hoarse, and her spirit was still in a state of collapse. "May I ask this lady, could you tell us what happened?" A male classmate swallowed his saliva and nervously looked at her and asked. Woo. The young woman sobbed and said in a hoarse voice, "My child was taken away by a ghost." Her eyes were filled with fear, and she began to cry helplessly. 2 days ago in the evening, it was just getting dark. Our little flower and her grandmother were taking a walk in the community when they were taken away by a dark shadow. Her expression became excited again. Please help me find the little flower. Even if she dies. I also want to see her for the last time. Her grandmother has been hospitalized due to self-blame, and my husband searched for her disappearance for 2 days and nights, but eventually fell ill. I wash my face with tears every day now, really. I beg you all. The woman was about to kneel down, but fortunately Shenlinger was quick-witted and quickly helped her stabilize. In order to retrieve her child, she posted a reward online, but in the end, it was a disaster. If it weren't for a special department coming to her door, she didn't know what to do. Ji Yueshuang hugged her arm and said calmly, "A competent investigator should make a quick judgment. Don't waste any time. If you have anything to ask, just ask. If not, it's time to set off and search. Everyone. They are all dumbfounded young interns, how could they know how to operate?" Shenlinger whispered, "Can you provide a photo of Xiaohua and specify the clothes she was wearing that day?" This question did indeed make Ji Yueshuang take an extra look. After all, the other dumbfounded youths were still standing on the side at a loss, so only Shenlinger and the male classmate dared to ask questions. The woman described in a soft voice, she was wearing a white little foreign dress and tied a ponytail that day. This is her usual photo. The woman handed the photo to Shenlinger, and the girl in the photo, wearing a sun hat and smiling, was as cute as a pink carved ceramic doll. The photos were divided among several people to take turns viewing, but Ji Yueshuang found that they didn't ask any further questions and were quite disappointed to focus all their attention on the photos. It is difficult to carry out the investigation simply by understanding the incident and not determining the specific location of the disappearance. She deliberately reminded, "Is there anything else I need to ask?" Shenlinger nodded slightly and said, "Madam, could you please specify where she went missing? Right at the fitness equipment in the community, please make sure to find my child." After a few words, the person involved collapsed and cried again. Shenlinger's bold questioning did indeed make Ji Yueshuang look at her in a different light. Everyone left the room and walked straight down the community. What's going on today? Why are people everywhere in the community? The male classmate who asked the question earlier looked at the crowd downstairs and couldn't help but sigh. Ji Yueshuang furrowed her eyebrows, realizing that things were not simple. Wang Shuiyan, right here, no one can let her go no matter what. Oh, that slut, he's slandering people everywhere, but he's living in a community and enjoying himself. Anyway, we have to give her a hard lesson. Upon hearing everyone reciting Wang Shuiyan's name, Shenlinger, as a fellow patient, was naturally familiar with this name. Wang Shuiyan. I know what happened now. When Shenlinger took the car this morning, she also saw the content on her phone. A group of classmates gathered around like curious babies, eagerly waiting for Shenlinger's explanation. Shenlinger briefly recounted the incident of Wang Shuiyan blackmailing people and forcing the delivery guy to death, and everyone present started cursing fiercely. That kind of person is so damn. Damn it, if it weren't for getting things done, I would have wanted to go over and slap her. Alas, how could a good person not live long and live 1,000 years of calamity? This world is just so unfair. Everyone, with every word you say, I almost forget about handling the case. Ji Yueshuang coughed and lightly reminded, don't be disturbed by external affairs when handling matters, continue to handle the case. 8 people obediently followed behind Ji Yueshuang and walked towards the fitness equipment, beginning to explore. Just as Shenlinger was carefully analyzing the scene, a handsome guy looked at his phone address and silently walked into the community. Shen Fei could not have imagined that after finally finding a reward online, he could still run into Wang Shuiyan's family. With the idea of not eating melons and making money first, he received a reward for his missing child on a nationwide reward website, but fortunately, he came to Wang Shuiyan's place. It's okay to be close. We have resolved both of these matters tonight. One side is the trial, and the other is the search for the missing child. They handle 2 things in a day and have money to get, so they don't suffer any losses. Knock. He stood at the door and knocked, and soon the door opened. What caught the eye was a haggard woman. Shen Fei instinctively opened the eyes of ghosts and gods and discovered an unknown scene. Her whole body was shrouded in a black ghostly aura, and the whole house was filled with an extremely strong ghostly aura. Completely covered by ghostly aura. Are you? End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Women with snake and scorpion hearts, seeking recommendation tickets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Women with snake and scorpion hearts, seeking recommendation tickets, are you? The woman opened the door and saw Shen Fei frowning at her, so she couldn't help but ask. Shen Fei introduced himself and said, I was a bounty hunter who came along with the address when I saw the mission you assigned on the nationwide bounty. In this era of ghostly revival, the official has created a nationwide reward website to comprehensively address supernatural events. As long as you are disturbed by supernatural events, you can distribute rewards on it. In order to live a better life, Shen Fei activated his golden finger and gave up the idea of working. Being a bounty hunter would make money faster. Human. Wang Qianshan. Mental state. Good. Personality. Snake and scorpion-hearted, ruthless, the kind of person who disregards the consequences if they fail to achieve their goals. Ghost Master level. B. Accompanying ghost spirit. Headless ghost. As expected by Shen Fei, with this ghostly aura fluttering all over the sky, this guy can maintain his normal state even if he's not sick, so he can't be an ordinary person. Furthermore, the judgment given by the eye of ghosts and gods is ruthless, coupled with its hidden B.level abilities, making her a terrifying woman. Shen Fei was thinking, as long as he found the child, he would have completed the task, right? What should I do if I kill my employer? Come on in. Wang Qianshan wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes and invited Shen Fei in. Shen Fei walked into the room and saw the black ghostly aura emanating from an inconspicuous small box in the corner, clearly hiding some unknown secret inside. What exactly happened? Why did the child go missing? Wang Qianshan resumed her previous script and showcased her collapsed acting skills to the fullest in front of Shen Fei. She talked for about 3 minutes and also mentioned the hospitalization of her husband and mother. Law at home. Shen Fei didn't say a word of comfort after listening, but instead casually asked, "Is the missing child a child hanging on the wall?" Wang Qianshan nodded and said, "Yes." Shen Fei asked with a smile on his face, "Why isn't the family of 3 in the photo you?" He noticed a slight tremble in the corner of Wang Qianshan's eyes, which was a display of trying to control her anger. "My husband and I are remarried, and Xiaohua was not born to me, so I kept this photo to give my child some nostalgia." Second marriage. She really wants to lose this child. The situation in this case is already very obvious. The scene of thieves shouting to catch thieves made Shen Fei too lazy to continue talking. Shen Fei weakly asked, "May I ask, is it you or is it the publisher of the bounty mission?" Wang Qianshan became impatient with Shen Fei's rambling inquiries. "Look at their special department, at least they are also professional. After asking questions, they will go downstairs to look for them. Why do you want to chat here?" But Wang Qianshan found out that Shen Fei was only a child, and she really wished he could continue to stay here to judge the case. He suppressed his anger and answered truthfully, "It was posted by my husband." "Oh, well then," Shen Fei nodded slightly and said, "Could you please call your husband back and say I have found the child?" Wang Qianshan. Is it funny? You're even more powerful than a special department, right? In Wang Qianshan's eyes, Shen Fei is just a river and lake scammer. Just a few questions can help you find Xiaohua. Is that special department shameless? But on second thought, she realized that a useless person had finally arrived. As long as Shen Fei was labeled as a scammer, perhaps her husband would revoke the reward. She was skilled at calculating and after some thought, she picked up the phone and called her husband who was currently hospitalized. Just as the phone was dialed, Shen Fei snatched it directly. Wang Qianshan. You're even more anxious than my husband, right? Hello, I'm a bounty hunter. I have found your daughter, hurry home. The man on the phone was so anxious that he was almost crying out, constantly clamoring for discharge. After Shen Fei finished the call, he returned Wang Qianshan's mobile phone. Then he sat down by himself, like a family member, and didn't forget to complain about roast. "I don't want to see any guests. Hurry up and get some fruit, and then turn on the TV. It's too quiet here, there's no sound, I feel uncomfortable all over." Wang Qianshan. She suppressed her anger and thought of her husband running home eagerly, only to see a scammer who was just slacking off and laughing heartily while watching TV. The reward will naturally be revoked, and no one will bother me anymore. So, Wang Qianshan also put away her haggard expression and began to eagerly stand up and warmly treat Shen Fei. Salad, fruit platters, high-end chocolates. And all the delicious things were taken out. Shen Fei turned on the TV and saw relevant reports about Wang Shuyan. "Oh, this TV station is awesome. Once I open it, I will see something irritating. This old lady is not human either. She goes out all day to deceive people and can do anything for money." Wang Qianshan also couldn't bear to scold. "Yeah, now there are also quite a few people running around to grab food and drink for money. If I don't show any signs later, I must make my husband report you to the police." Shen Fei jumped off guard and replied, "I can already see my face. Why can't I enjoy myself here?" Wang Qianshan. She was so angry that she didn't even know what to say. She just hoped her husband would come early, otherwise there would be another corpse at home. Shen Fei looked at the footage in the news, and at present, the entire community has been surrounded by countless netizens who rushed to bomb Wang Shuyan offline. Everyone was particularly emotional, especially those delivery guys wearing work clothes, who looked like special war gods and kicked Wang Shuyan's door one by one. People's voices of condemnation are incessant, all venting their anger for the delivery guy in their own way. Lu Tianai stood at the entrance of Wang Shuyan for a live broadcast, tearfully reporting to millions of viewers in the live broadcast room. We have now arrived at Ms. Wang's doorstep. She is closed and unwilling to apologize. Now netizens from all over the country have blocked the entire community, especially the delivery guys, who are expressing their dissatisfaction with Ms. Wang's behavior with their own actions. Shen Fei was watching with great interest when the door was opened. A young man with a messy beard and a bandage wrapped around his head rushed in. As soon as he entered the door, he set his gaze on Shen Fei, and his originally eager gaze gradually became suspicious. "Are you a bounty hunter?" Shen Fei raised his voice, and the young man looked angrily at Wang Qianqian, who was secretly touching her tears, and saw her nod. He became anxious on the spot. "Don't do anything. Just hang out at my house, eat and drink, and then watch the news. Are you really discovering something, or are you intentionally playing with me?" The days of searching have tormented him to the point of going insane. Especially Shen Fei's attitude of loving everyone and eating fruits in big gulps made him unable to hold his breath. Shen Fei lightly patted the young man's shoulder and said earnestly, "Adjust your emotions because I'm afraid you won't be able to handle what I'm going to say next." Youth. He looked at Shen Fei's serious expression, and his heart gradually sank. An ominous premonition lingered in his heart for a long time and could not dissipate, requesting recommended tickets. End of this chapter.